Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Tuesday, January the 30th, 2024. I can't believe it's already 2024. Can't believe we're almost out of the first month of the year already. This past Sunday, if you were with us or if you've watched our service, we had a couple of healing stories from the Gospel of Mark. I'm going to talk a little bit more about those specifics in the days to come. But want to talk a little bit about healing in general. If you heard my sermon, you also heard me say that I can't really explain, nor would I even ever try to attempt to explain how it was that that woman with the hemorrhaging, the bleeding, merely by touching Jesus's cloak was healed, or how the girl on her deathbed, in fact, had died. By the time Jesus reached her, he touched her and told her to get up, and she did. No way of knowing or understanding how that could be. Healing is always a miraculous thing, and sometimes I think we look at the healings in the Bible, particularly those that happened because of something that Jesus did, and we wonder why we don't have those miracles in our own time. And I guess I want to just take a couple of moments today to talk about the kind of miraculous healing that happens all the time. You probably, in your own life, or certainly people close to you, know of situations where, somebody faced some sort of serious illness or accident, injury, and their recovery and healing was nothing short of miraculous. My brother's sister-in-law, so that would be my sister-in-law's sister, had massive heart failure after a trip to Iceland a year ago this past summer. And within a month, because of her relative young age and overall health prior to this, and it was a strange thing that caused the heart failure. She was jumped to the top of the transplant list, got a new heart, and is over a year with that new heart. What a miracle! And for most of human history, that was just not possible. And when I think of healing, I think of my dad, who died in 2014. And I was thinking about all the things that he went through in the 40s, in 1944 to be exact, during the well-known Battle of the Bulge just before Christmas time, 1944. He was wounded and left with shrapnel in his arm and in his legs, to the extent that when I was a little kid, he would, show us where it was, and you could touch it and you could feel the metal there. The reason why they left it in was that it was so close to nerves and so forth, and military field hospitals and so forth didn't dare try to touch them, and so he carried that shrapnel the rest of his life. In fact, he was wounded not just that once, but 3 times. So you receive a Purple Heart when you're wounded in combat, but they don't give you another Purple Heart if you're wounded again. That you get an oak leaf cluster. Well, my dad had a Purple Heart with 2 oak leaf clusters, which means he was wounded 3 times. And then when I was a little boy in the 60s, his appendix ruptured. So it's bad enough to have appendicitis and they have to go in and remove it, but his had burst. And so there was, bad stuff, all through his body that had to be pumped out of his abdominal cavity. 10, 15 years later, he had a problem with his gallbladder. Same thing. I mean, maybe not a fatal sort of a thing, but had to be removed. But then that was followed by a heart attack and triple bypass surgery. He also had cancer of the ureter being that tube that leads from the kidney to the bladder. Later in life, towards the very end of his life, he was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, which is a scarring of the lungs that make the tissue very thick and stiff and difficult for your body for the lungs to absorb oxygen. And he was also suffering course, all men, they say, if you live long enough. He was also suffering from prostate cancer at the time, and that was kind of spinning out of control at the time that he died. But each and every one of those instances, from being wounded on the battlefield to a ruptured appendix to a heart attack and triple bypass to the cancer surgery. I remember the doctor telling us, they treated him with chemotherapy first when they went in. The tumor actually was gone. They could see the area where it had been, and they simply kind of snipped that area out, reattached the two ends of the ureter. And he said, I did everything that I could, certainly medicine, but I don't take the full claim for everything that happened, because we had talked about, my mom especially had talked about all the prayers, family and friends all over the country that had been praying for him. Each of those instances, it's a miracle, and I don't think we should sell ourselves short in the sense that the things that we're able to see and the things that we're able to witness and experience, maybe even in our own lives, or certainly in the lives of our family members, are nothing short of miracles, and that's a God thing. The ability that we have developed is a God thing. So I counted those things I just mentioned. I counted up 7 major things that my dad experienced. The gallbladder maybe being the least serious of the 7. Any one of them, with that maybe exception, could have and perhaps should have and definitely would have killed him had he been born a century ago or something. He survived each one. He was healed each one. Each one, was a miracle. And he lived to be 93 years old. So when I hear about miracles in the Bible that I can't explain, I take them at face value. But I also know that there are miracles in our lives even now. And ultimately, we are mortal beings. So my dad survived all those things, and yet his life finally came to an end after 93 years. We're not going to live forever, but we can certainly see and experience, if not in our own life, certainly in people that we know, the miracles of God that bring healing. So just wanted to comment on that today. I hope you have a great day. I hope that there are people that and that you can recognize the miracles in their lives. And we're going to talk more about these 2 healing stories in the days to come. Until then, take care. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.